Hello and welcome to another episode of the Good Hearted Podcast. I am so excited to share with you today a conversation I had with my really good friend Chelsea Hall, all about rest, recharging, hustle culture, and all the things that we struggled with when we were building our businesses in our early 20s and how it looks so drastically different now that we're 30 or almost 30 and really have our footing and have realized how important rest is in order to sustain a business and to actually enjoy the life that you're trying to build and, save money for and all of these things versus just working it away and being so addicted to the grind. I think no matter what you do as far as career goes or what your life looks like, this is a conversation that you need to listen to because we all need the permission and the reminder to rest and to schedule it in or just add it into our day throughout the day to make sure that we're recharged and really taking care of ourselves. Chelsea has been a photographer for over a decade now, and she specializes in weddings. I love that she takes a photojournalist approach to wedding days, and she's also very passionate about making sure that humans feel comfortable in front of her camera so they can show off their truest selves and she can capture them in that way. She's a proud rescue cat mama and a music junkie. I love watching her dance parties on her Instagram stories. She photographs right here in Dayton, Ohio, and I'm so thankful I met her so long ago, and we've been able to grow and evolve over the last few years as business owners. I really hope you enjoy our conversation. Hi, Chelsea, and welcome to the Good Hearted Podcast. I'm so excited to chat with you today. I'd love for you to just say hi to my audience and tell us a little bit about you.
Awesome. Well, hey friends, I'm Chelsea with Chelsea Hall Photography. I've been a professional photographer since 2012. I'm celebrating a decade in business next year,
Yay!
Which is super exciting. I started my business in 2012, right before I graduated from Wright State University with a bachelor's degree in mass communication and a focus in photojournalism. Right before I graduated, the New York Times decided that they were going to fire all of their photojournalists. So I was just really nervous to go in that direction. But I really knew that I wanted to continue with photography and just kind of see where that road would take me. So I decided to teach myself portraiture. And at that time I had kind of like a fine art and photojournalism background with photography. And that's when I decided that I was going to try out weddings and newborns and families and everything and just kind of figure out what I wanted. And I decided that mixing photojournalism and documenting a day with the portraiture that I taught myself was perfect for weddings, where I could kind of just be a fly on the wall, do what makes my heart happy, which is like documenting things.
I love your style. It is definitely like documentary style, and I just love it. It seems so true to the actual events that happen. And I feel like in photography, because obviously we've both been wedding photographers, I feel like sometimes that can get lost in translation because of crazy edits and posing and things like that. And you do a great job. I love it. And so when we met, you had been in business for a couple years at that point.
4 years?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. And I was probably like a year or two in by the time we met. And we were definitely both trying to ramp up our businesses. We were working like crazy, second shooting for tons of other people, like every second we got. So take me back to like that time in your business and kind of just like, how was your mental health? How were you personally? And like, what was going on?
I'm actually going to even take you back further than that, because at Wright State, I had multiple jobs and I was going to school full time. So I was just kind of used to having my time filled to the brim and just always having something on my calendar, always having someplace to go. From my freshman year to my senior year, I had 2 to 3 jobs at a time, plus going to school. So I had just gotten myself really used to really hustling and just going. And I've always been somebody who has super high goals and I'm very focused. So I don't know. I was I want to get where I want to go. I'm just going to work harder. I'm going to do more than anybody else. And I'm going to get there. So after college, I was already in that mindset. I didn't know any different. And I got a job as a bank teller because I wanted to work part-time so that I could start focusing on my business. I would do about 30 hours a week being a bank teller. And then I would spend the rest of the time photographing sessions in the evenings and photographing weddings on the weekends and editing and literally any of my spare time. Right. So that was around a couple years in is when I started to go into more like full time with myself. I think it was around year 5. But before that, I was again working for multiple companies, kind of like scaling up in my business. And then I like slowly scaled down with them. But my goal was literally, I remember sitting in my apartment at the time, and my desk was I had 2 roommates. I was living with my boyfriend at the time and then our roommate, and my desk was in our living room. And so I was literally at
Wow.
my desk editing, and they were just like, well, especially the roommate, bless him. He was like, why are you're always out here? Like, you're always out here. You're always on your computer.
Oh,
Yeah. And then I moved into a studio apartment where my like bedroom was my living room, was my office, was my
yeah.
kitchen. So working from home, and just like I would wake up in the morning and go straight to editing, and then I would go to my graphic design job, and
Mm-hmm.
then I would come home and edit some more, have a meeting, go to a session, come back, edit
Right.
until I would go to bed. I was a workaholic, and my goal was always to
Mm-hmm.
double my income, double how many weddings I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
My goal was to always just level up and level up and
Yep.
level up.
Yep.
And that was just where my mindset was around that time.
And I can totally relate to that. It was like more, more, more. I couldn't rest, sitting watching Netflix. Like I needed to be also editing. When I was in college, I worked 3 jobs. Even when I, had full time work, I was still doing side jobs or, second shooting, like we talked about before. And I mean, I struggled with burnout like nobody's business, but I didn't care. I like tried to push through it, but I made myself sick because I overworked myself. That was a very hard time for me looking back. I just want to like give those girls a hug and be like, what are you
Take
doing?
your time. It's okay. You don't need to move
Yeah.
so fast.
But I definitely feel like kind of the culture and everything we were hearing, like Instagram was booming at the time and everybody was like, work, 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 so you can get this. And like, I just feel like that's why we had that mentality. And we took pride in being like go getters and, trying to do the next big thing, but it wears you out.
Yeah, it definitely takes a toll on you. And if
Mm-hmm.
you keep going and not like taking that time to relax when your body says so, like relax your mind
Mm-hmm.
when it's like when it can't do any more work, it like takes a toll on your work. It takes a toll on your relationship with your clients, your relationship with your
Mm-hmm.
family, your
Mm-hmm.
relationship with your friends. I
What
mean,
are
bless my
those? Yeah.
family. Yeah, exactly. Bless my family, bless my friends, because I've
Mm-hmm.
literally told them no for like during wedding
Mm-hmm.
season every weekend for like
Yep.
8 years.
Yep.
And like I'm definitely lucky that they've like stayed by my side this whole time.
Oh yeah, because I'm like I don't know if I would do that. Like not really, but it's just that it was that hard thing of like I'm trying to build this business. This is my dream. This is what I feel like made to do, but like I'm not living. you know? I mean,
Exactly.
yeah, I didn't see my friends for years either, and then we were also putting off certain things because I was like it's busy season, like I cannot. It's a weird balance and I don't even know if balance is the right word, but I definitely learned eventually that like I had to slow down and I had to rest because I was busting my ass and I had hardly anything to show for it really, like in the grand scheme of things. I had the pretty Instagram and things like that, but like what else did I have? So for you, what did it look like when you had enough with this?
Yeah, I would say probably around year 5, year 6,
Mhm.
which is like crazy that it took me that long. But I feel like
Mhm.
every year while I was building, my goal was always to go full time. So I felt like I
Mhm.
needed to like work as much as I could, reinvest all of
Mhm.
the money until I could afford to pay myself.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
eventually, like, wean myself off my other jobs and start going full time with my business.
Mhm.
And I felt like I could finally pay myself enough that I was making in my other jobs. That's when I went full time. So that really felt like the first time that I was like, okay, I'm figuring out how to do just this and only this. And I
Mhm.
had took like a year, and I was like, well, I don't really know. Maybe this isn't how next year will go. And then
Mhm.
the next year would be the same. And then the next
Mhm.
year would be the same.
Yep.
So around like year 4, year 5, when I was like really figuring it out, I was like,
Mhm.
okay, I need to start adding boundaries to my business. I need
Mm.
to start picking and choosing days that I have sessions in the evening. I need
Mhm.
to not do every free photo shoot and styled shoot, and not like give my work away for free
Mhm.
for like advertising and stuff for other vendors. And I was like, I really need to figure out what is best for me, what's best for my mental health, what's going to be best for my family overall. And that literally was just like setting boundaries, learning how to say no, which I love that you're like spreading that message in your podcast. I think that's super important. And just like building that confidence in yourself, knowing that not having that scarcity mindset where you need to work, work, work. And knowing that the jobs are going to come your way as long as you're continuing to put out good work, as long as you're doing everything that you need to do, the work's going to come your way. And it takes a little bit, it takes self-confidence. I was in my early 20s when I started my business, and I just turned 30 last year. So it's literally taken me 30 years to like fully be confident in myself and be like, no, that's not for me. I'm sorry. Like, I want to be able to help you out, but I really can't. You working with somebody else or you working with another vendor is going to be better for both of us. You're going to have a better experience over there because you're going to click with them. You know, I'll be able to work with clients that click with me. It's just taken a while to really like grow that confidence, establish the boundaries, know when I'm going to have meetings, when I'm open to have shoots, when I'm open for second shooting and stuff like that. But I guess what has been difficult for me, like my story is a little bit different than other people because I've been living alone for 6 years. Like I lived alone in that studio apartment in Fairborn, and then I moved to Belmont. Gosh, and like I feel like I've been in Dayton now for like 4 years.
A while, yeah.
4 or 5 years now. And I moved to Belmont in like a 1-bedroom apartment by myself. So I've like always had to pay my own bills. I've always had to pay. I haven't had people to split things with.
Right.
Which isn't necessary. Like I could have found a roommate, but I knew that I was getting older and I just really, I thrived better like living by myself.
Yeah.
So I felt like I did have to work a little bit more to be able to pay my bills and all of that. Like I wasn't in a like partnership where we could split bills and help that out a little bit, where I could be more picky and be more choosy about what clients I took, or if I was second shooting for other photographers, or I definitely felt like I had to, take on more so I could pay my bills. But the older I got and the more that I raised my prices, to value my own time, and to know that I could be doing less and making the same amount, but still working just as hard. I was just getting underpaid. The first few years of my business. Gosh, if you talk to any photographer, like their first rates, like that the first couple years I was making poverty level. Like, I mean, I think there was one year where I made $11,000 total for like, and that's when I lived in a studio apartment. I know people get a little uncomfortable talking numbers, but that's just kind of like the reality of the situation that I was in and why I felt like I had to do so much to get where I am now.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I feel like even me in the past, I've had a safety net because I've had a husband that worked a full-time job and like he was able to cover the bills, but I didn't have that kind of pressure. And I remember one time at a Tuesdays Together meeting, you talked about this story and struggling with bills and things like that. And I do think it's a totally different perspective and kind of frames more like you had to be a workaholic for a while to be able to get through it. And you did the hard work, and a lot of other people don't have that kind of story and past. So I just want to point that out. And you are so strong for all of the things that you've done and gone through. And when you have something that important on the line, you still are undercharging because of that self-confidence issue. Like that's like an impossible thing to kind of figure out and work through, because it's like, okay, well, I have to do these things. I have to make this much money, but what if I don't get the work? So when you did decide to up your prices and know that your time was more valuable, how did things change for you with that? Were you still able to like bring in the money that you needed to? Did you find clients that were like better suited for you and things like that?
Yeah, I don't know why I was ever worried. I feel like now I'm to the point where I know my worth, and I know that like every year I add more experience, I have more experience. I'm like
Yes.
almost a
Yes.
decade in business. And I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
no, this is what I've worked really hard for. This is what I deserve. And having that imposter syndrome or something when you're
Mm-hmm.
younger, you're just
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know. I haven't been in the game as long as everybody
Yeah.
else. And this is what
Mm-hmm.
they're charging. And do I really like deserve that? I don't know.
Right.
But every, couple weddings, I would raise my prices
Mm-hmm.
as I got more and more experience. And it really did help to get clients that really value me. They value my artistry. They value my
Mm-hmm.
time. They value my personality and the fact that we click so well on their wedding day and they have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
fun. And same like in their like branding or portrait sessions, like we have a good time. And I take the time to really get to know them. And I take
Mm-hmm.
the time to like build that relationship with them and their families. I think people have really come to value that. And
Mm-hmm.
now I have clients that come to me and they're like, we don't care what your rates are, like we want to work with you. And that's a really amazing feeling, especially like thinking of that 22-year-old that was like
Right.
so scared.
Yes.
And just being here now and getting here, it's definitely helped everything in my life.
That's kind of the dream, I feel like, to charge more, but not necessarily work less, but like you're more efficient, your workload's not as much. And so it essentially is working less. I love that. And so when I noticed you starting to like set boundaries in your business and you talked about it more, and I was like, damn, like she's on to something. Like I need to start doing this. Didn't you start no working on Mondays or something like that, like a while ago?
Yeah, so depending on if I have a wedding that weekend, like
Mm-hmm.
say I have a wedding on Sunday, I'll probably
Mm-hmm.
take a Saturday and a Monday off. Or if I have a wedding
Mm-hmm.
on Saturday, I'll probably take like Sunday and Monday off. But if I
Mm-hmm.
have a wedding on Saturday and Sunday, which
Yeah.
happens sometimes, like I'm going to
Right.
take that Friday and that Monday off because
Mm.
I was working, gosh, I would be working from April to November, almost
Yes.
7 days a week for
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
5, 6 years.
Right.
And you think that your winter, you think just because it's slow and we're not
Yeah.
shooting,
Yeah.
that means nothing. And you don't realize that like in your first couple years, you're like, oh, it's going to be slow. In the winter, it's going to
Right.
be great. I'm going to
Yeah.
like get the time to relax. And then you're like,
Mhm.
oh, wait, I need to be marketing. Oh,
Mhm. I
wait,
need
I should
bookings.
really,
Yeah.
yeah, I should be working on my taxes. I should be
Yeah.
working on the business, not necessarily
Mhm.
in the business. So I was still
Yes.
working 40 hours a week and like
Mhm.
the normal times. I just wasn't working 70 hours a week. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Right.
It took me a little while, like a few years to really understand that and know,
Mhm.
like, no, this is what it's going to
Mhm.
look like for you. And you need to set boundaries, which means that you need to be taking 2 days off a week, just like
Mhm.
everybody else.
Right.
Why do you not deserve that? Like,
Yeah.
why can't you give that to yourself? I don't care how, like, what I have on my plate that week. If I don't
Mhm.
get those 2 days off, I'm not gonna do
Mhm.
it like do it well. It's gonna be bad.
Right.
I'm gonna be like coming in and just like upset and tired and angry.
Mhm.
It's gonna affect me working with my clients. It's gonna
Mhm.
affect the way like my positivity. It's gonna
Mhm.
make me really not value the work that I do anymore and just be like
Yes.
upset that I'm
Mhm.
doing it. And so that and like I come in 10 to 5 on the weekdays unless I have
Mhm.
a meeting at 5, then I'll
Mhm.
stay till 6, but I don't stay any later than 6. Most days I leave at 5. Then I like will only take shoots on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I will make exceptions for Wednesdays if that's really the only thing that clients can do. But usually I try to keep one day a week for like meetings and stuff
Mhm.
like that. And I won't overbook my sessions. I'm
Mm.
like, we'll only take like 1 to 2 sessions a week and
Mhm.
then one wedding a week. But it does add up. It is a lot of work.
Oh,
You should
yeah.
see my editing queue.
Oh god, I can only imagine. But I'm sure like when you first started, you probably had like 4 sessions a week and then a wedding and then maybe second shooting on the weekend. And so like even though it is still a lot of work, you've definitely scaled back, which is really good.
Yes. Yeah.
And I loved just a second ago you said that like you deserve the rest. Like why aren't you giving that to yourself? Like talking to yourself and I'm like I feel like everybody needs to tell themselves that. When I do get burnt out, I can't function. I can't do anything well. I need to step away. I need to rest and have that time to recharge. And just like acknowledging that long ago, like I need to take care of myself. Why wouldn't I do that when I would tell anybody else that they need to do that for themselves? So right now you're sitting in your studio, which is beautiful and gorgeous and we love it. How has that helped you rest? Does it help at all since like you're not working at home anymore?
Yes, exactly. I love that you pointed that out because that was another boundary.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, when I had a really nice working laptop that I bought a few years ago, I would like I would work from home. I would edit on my couch. There would be
Mm-hmm.
days when I'm like, it's been like 3 days since I've showered. Like, you know what I mean?
Same.
I'd be like working nonstop. And I just didn't
Yes.
necessarily have boundaries in what I was editing. And
Mm-hmm.
like, kind of like you said, like if you were sitting down and watching Netflix or anything, like, why
Mm-hmm.
can't I edit at the same time and
Yes.
multitask?
Yes.
And the fact that I would bring home my laptop every day, it gives you the guilt when you're resting. You're like, I should be multitasking. I can be doing
Mm-hmm.
multiple things at once. I could be building my business and watching Netflix. But
Yes. Right.
finally, it got to the point where like my laptop was like, okay, well, you have to be plugged into the wall to work. And the
Mm-hmm.
charge port was a little like out of whack. It was starting to get slow, and I got a desktop at my office. So I couldn't work from my laptop anymore at home. And it
Right.
was literally like the best blessing. Like it was amazing. I was like, I just bought a new laptop like on Wednesday. And that's
Ooh.
what I'm using right now to chat with you. But I'm like happy to leave this in my book bag and not get it back out until 10 a.m. the next day, and to
Mm-hmm.
really make sure that I'm taking my slow mornings that I really love. You know, I have a pottery class on Wednesday now, which is really
Yes.
lovely. It's so
Yeah.
nice. It's so nice to get creative. It's just nice to leave all of the work here and go
Mm-hmm.
home. Now I'm still thinking about my business because like what entrepreneur doesn't?
Right.
It's really hard to kind of like let that go. But it is nice to just step away from everything and come back feeling like, okay, this is my work time. And when I'm at home, that's my rest time.
Yeah, I love that. And so I want you to tell me about two things. I want to hear about your slow mornings and then also the pottery class.
So my slow mornings kind of go, it really just depends on like the season that I'm in. When I was big on posting on social media, I would like wake up in the morning and you're like, okay, I gotta post by like 9 a.m. I gotta
Mm-hmm.
post around 7:30 or 8 every morning or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even care anymore. And so I would like wake up, I would get my post ready. I would like, usually it's really weird. I like wake up and like I just want to tell a story. I'm like, I want to write like a 3 to 5 paragraph, like saying something. And so I would do that on social media. And then I would
Mm-hmm.
go back to just, all right, I'm going to eat breakfast. I'm going to take a walk on
Mm-hmm.
my treadmill. I'm going to listen to a podcast. Just kind of like know, like, okay, I don't need to be into the office until 10, but like still waking up at like a decent hour so that I could take
Mm-hmm.
the time to really feel re-energized to go back into work in the office. But
Mm-hmm.
now, maybe like, don't, you don't have to be like me, right? But I really don't care about posting on social media
Yeah.
anymore. Okay, I'm not saying that that's what you should do, okay? But what I'm saying is I personally am over it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
put hashtags on things right now. I post when I
Mm-hmm.
feel like it. There is no more social media hate in my life. I don't
Mm-hmm.
despise it anymore because I
Yeah.
despised it for a long time
Mm-hmm.
because I had to wake up every morning at this time to post, and I
Yes.
had to come up with something thoughtful to say, and I had to make
Mm-hmm.
sure that it matched my newsfeed, and I had to do this, and I had to do that.
Right.
And now I'm
Right.
like, have to do any of that. I can
Nope.
post when I want to. I can say what I
Mm-hmm.
want. I don't have
Mm-hmm.
to make every single thing I do like a marketing decision. Is it
Yes.
like not smart? And like, would a marketing person tell me like you're wasting your time? Yeah, maybe. Okay, whatever. That's fine. But again, like for my mental health, that is what I had
Yes.
to do.
Yes.
Yeah. So now I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna go have coffee. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
eat breakfast. I'm gonna take a walk with like my boyfriend and his dog Luna in the morning
Mm-hmm.
and snuggle and just, I don't know, play my Nintendo Switch if I want to. I don't, just like whatever I want to
Right.
do. Whatever I feel like
Right.
doing in the morning is what I do. So once I started doing that, I've been like daydreaming about taking a pottery class for
Yeah.
months. Like I wanted to do one last fall, but
Mm-hmm.
they were all signed up. It was full. The classes were for Rosewood Arts Center in Kettering, and they book up fast. So if you want to do it, like you got to do it ASAP. Luckily, I couldn't do it on Wednesday mornings. Not everybody can do that
Yeah.
with their
Yeah.
schedule. So I'm kind of lucky in that sense. Yes, I go, like I have my coffee. I usually go to Warehouse 4 because it's on the way. I'll like have
Mm-hmm.
coffee. I'll have my breakfast. I'll either sit there and like enjoy it, or I'll like go
Mm-hmm.
sit in the parking lot I don't know if it's raining or something, and
Mhm.
then like just relax and then go in and just build something, because
Yeah.
something that people don't tell you when you start a photography business is it becomes your job, right? Like a lot of
Mhm.
people are like, God, it must be so nice to like do what you love doing. And it's gotta be so
Yes.
nice to turn your hobby into a business. And I feel like
Mhm.
once you do it for 8 years, you're like, no, this is my job. Like,
Right.
do I love my clients to like my very like deep down in my soul?
Mhm.
Yes. Do I love yeah, do I love telling their stories? Yes. Do I
Yeah.
love sitting and doing office work like all the time? No. It
No.
no, I don't. Do I like being gone every weekend? It's like, no, I really don't.
No. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't. It's hard. It's
Mhm.
difficult to say no to my family. It's difficult to say no to my
Mhm.
friends. It's difficult
Mhm.
to say no to like my partner who is off on the
Yes.
weekends and
Mhm.
I'm not. Or the
Mhm.
day after my weddings, I want to relax and they're like ready to do something. And I'm just
Yes.
not. It's
And you're like, "I can't get out of bed." Like, "What are you talking
yeah.
about? My body does not work today." Like
Yeah, the wedding
Yeah.
hangover
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
real, especially
Mhm.
with wearing masks now. Like
Oh god, yeah.
I can't find time to drink water. So like the
Yeah.
next day I'm just like dehydrated and like, oh, this
Yes.
is rough. But again, the cons of doing what you love, it is what it
Mhm.
is.
Yeah.
The grass is always greener anywhere you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so now I do that on Wednesdays, and now I can get my creative juices out somewhere else
Mhm.
that like feels nice, and I
Yeah.
can take all of the time that I've been obsessively watching Instagram reels from other potters and watching different glazing techniques and stuff like that, and like just try them out. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
And what's nice is that you can have a hobby where it doesn't have to be perfect. You can have a hobby that you
Right?
don't have to monetize. And that's
Right?
where I'm at with that. Yeah.
Yeah. With photography, I feel like everybody starts because they love photography. They love to like play around with their camera. They love getting fun shots. And then they think like, oh, I just have to work on the weekend. But that is so far from what it actually is. And you can't even be creative at your shoots sometimes or on wedding days because it's a formula. Like, all the getting ready shots that you have to get, where you need to be during the ceremony. And it just becomes very like systematic because it has to be like, you have to be efficient. You've done this a million times. Like, your routine, the shots that you have to get. But it's like all of the goodness that you once like loved about photography just kind of fades away because you're also doing all of the editing. Like even if you start outsourcing things, there's still so many things that you have to do as a business owner when you don't have a humongous profit margin. So I've been trying to find that hobby too that is like just for fun, even if I fucking suck at it. Like it's just something that like I can do and I enjoy and I don't have to make money from it. And like it just seems like a foreign concept. And Dylan was the one who was like, you don't have to monetize this. And I was like, oh, okay. Like that makes sense. But my first thought is like, oh, I'm kind of good at this. How can I make money at it? Which I would suck at pottery. But like watching you do it has been so cool. And it looks so like therapeutic and calming. Like you said, you can be good or bad at it. Like it doesn't matter as long as you enjoy it.
I'm about being honest. There are times where I'm like, I'm a type 4 with a wing 3.
Mm-hmm.
I love to be different and unique, but I'm also a perfectionist. So I have to
Mm-hmm.
be like perfect at being different and unique.
Yes,
So like,
right.
which is like so stupid. It's so stupid. Don't get me wrong. I've done a lot of like self-discovery over the years and I love
Mm-hmm.
myself and I know that I'm like
Yes.
a freaking weirdo and it's great.
Right.
But like it is a pain sometimes. And so I'll
Mm-hmm.
be like in these classes and I think there's 7 or 8 of us right now. And some of the students have been in there for years, like this
Wow.
instructor. So
Mm-hmm.
like they're like creating these like amazing vases and amazing like bowls. And you're just like, what? Like this is my first time
Right.
doing it. So they're like, it's okay. You'll get it. And I'm just over here like, why haven't I gotten it yet? Why isn't it perfect? Like, how do you
Yeah.
get it to
Yeah.
look like that? And I'm like really
Mm-hmm.
hard on myself.
Yeah.
And I know that's just who I am. But like
Mm-hmm.
when I go in like on studio time when there's like nobody around and I can just like sit
Mm-hmm.
and play and I like don't have the eyes of people and like other people, it is very relaxing. And then just doing the different different etching for glazes, I can just like shut my mind off and like etch. And like it's so therapeutic to just have the same motion like over and over and over
Yes.
and just like let your mind go. And it has been really nice. I really want to do it the next class. I haven't looked at it recently. It probably is already filled up, but it's on Thursdays of the summer. But they
Oh,
keep telling
nice.
me that summers are really hot in the building. And you
Yeah.
have obviously everybody's still wearing masks inside. So
Yeah.
like you get really sweaty.
Mhm.
And I like
Mhm.
want to continue doing it, but I'm just kind of like, maybe I'll come back in the fall.
Is it worth it? Right. Maybe this is a fall
Yeah.
activity.
Maybe this is like a cool month's activity because
Yes.
you can't have the fans on with COVID and all of that. And
Oh, I
it's all
wouldn't have
very
even thought of
COVID
that.
friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Which
I'm
is
like,
great, but like
yeah.
it can be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Like if you're trying to be creative and you're just sweating the whole time.
Yeah.
Or you're trying to like relax and you're just like, God, it's so hot.
Right, right.
And you're like, oh, it's awful.
Seriously though. But like I just love that you've taken this on, and I'm still looking for what my next little hobby is going to be. But I don't know. I feel like that's a good way to kind of like recharge, and like you said, just shut your mind off. Like that's what I would love to do every once in a while, just like have nothing going on up here. Cause like you said, as like business owners, we're always thinking like have a conversation. I'm like, can I turn that into an Instagram post? Like I just can't shut it off. You know what I mean? And I really try to, but I struggle with that. And so another thing I want to talk about with you is your sabbaticals. I want to talk about how and why you started doing these. And so I feel like whether you own a business or not, this is still a practice that people could do like in all kinds of different areas in life, just kind of taking a step back.
Okay, so I learned about sabbaticals probably in my second or third year in business. That was when I was first like getting into listening to other entrepreneurs talk, whether that's like podcasts or YouTube videos or anything like that. I just wasn't aware that there were other people like out there.
Yeah.
And I started listening to the Sean West podcast. He's like a graphic designer. And he would talk a lot about what was called his 7th week sabbatical, where he would work for 6 weeks and then take off the 7th week. And then he started trying like a 7-month sabbatical where he would work for 6 months and then take a month off. And then he took it even a step further and did a 7 year. So like he worked for 6 years, took a whole year off.
Wow.
Right, which is like wild and goals.
Yeah.
But yeah, sounds amazing. And not everybody can financially do that, right? Like it definitely didn't make sense for me financially, like being on my own and being like the one covering all my bills. Like it just didn't make sense for me to do that.
Right.
So I think it was around my 7th year, I was like, you know what? I'm going to at least try to take a month off and I'm going to figure out how to do it. And earlier that year, I was like, I'm doing it. I had it set in my head. Like in January, I was like, I'm taking December off. I normally take a 1 to 2 week, I guess, sabbatical, but really it's just a vacation because you know that's like really the only time that I could take off because I was busy literally all year besides the winter. It didn't make sense to like go anywhere during busy season when I had a bottom line to make. And so I would go usually during my birthday week. I would go to the desert. It's like my favorite place to be. And some people are like, doesn't it get old going there every year? And it's just, it really doesn't. It's my favorite drive is driving through the Mojave with like the windows down and like Neil Young on the radio and just like singing all of my favorite songs. Yeah. Cause I'm a classic rock freak, but just like singing all the like the folk music in like the desert. And I would usually take the trip by myself. The past couple of years, I've taken whoever I was seeing at the time. That's another conversation. Right. But we could totally have a conversation about that sometime. The wedding photographer. That's always the wedding photographer. It's fine. I've come to terms. Anyways, I would always drive out there and it was just like a meditative experience. I would camp on my own at different like campgrounds and I would find different hip camps to just stay at literally like in the wilderness with like nobody around. And that is like the most ultimate, I don't know, it's just like a nice little Zen time to like really figure yourself out, reflect on the year, take a moment to just breathe and really not do anything. Because I feel like a lot of people go on vacations and they like go, go, go. And I just wanted to like not really, of course I'm type A and I'm like, okay, I need to go from this hip camp to this one. And I
Right.
need to go from this hip camp to like take a shower on Wednesday at this Airbnb. And like I
Right.
did have a plan, but like
Mhm.
other than that, I was like, okay, what am I gonna do today? All I know is that I need to be
Mhm.
like here at like 4 p.m. and I have the whole day to
Yeah.
myself. So I've been doing that for the last 4 or 5 years. But
Mhm.
a couple years ago, I was like, I'm gonna just take off the whole month. I'm gonna make a
Mhm.
long like trip. And I just took the year to like really get my systems in place and
Mhm.
figure it out, put like an away message, like, see y'all next year.
Right.
And posted on social media like, hey, I'm gonna
Mhm.
be out of the office for the full month. And it was stressful
Yeah.
coming up to it. It really was. I was really nervous that it wasn't going to happen. I was nervous that I was going to let myself down by continuing to work. I was nervous that I was going to let the guilt like hold me back from doing it, even
Mhm.
though I know I deserved it. I had
Right.
been working like so much and so long for like years.
Mhm.
And I just knew that I deserved it after not taking, what most people take 2 to 4 weeks of vacation a year. And I was taking one, like on average a
Right.
week, maybe a week and a
Yeah.
half.
Yeah.
So like, I just knew that I was like, this is a long time coming. You deserve this.
Mhm.
And it was not long enough because let me just tell you, if you're going to do a sabbatical, maybe don't do it in December because it's like holiday month, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But so it's like you're like running from one thing to the next anyway during the holidays. But
Yeah, true.
it wasn't long enough, but it was still great, and I would do
Yeah.
it again.
Absolutely. Well, and I love hearing about your trips and like cuz you got like your hand tattoos one of the times, right? When you
Yeah.
were down there?
I hadn't planned it. I found her business card in one of the shops
Oh, that's right.
in Yucca Valley. For the longest time, I mean, I love tattoos. I've been in tattoo culture for like since I was 18,
Mhm.
and just like body modification and stuff like that. And I had been daydreaming about stick and poke tattoos because I had been
Mhm.
following a lot of artists out of like the West, because that's how it got like bigger, I guess, in the
Mhm.
Instagram, Pinterest, tattoo world or
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm a type 4, like I like doing things before everybody else, whatever.
Right?
It's fine. Again, love myself, but there are
Yes.
certain things
But
where
you're
I'm like,
just
okay, like hipster.
right. You're
Yeah.
just aware. It's fine.
So I went and like did that, or I went and found her card, and I was like,
Mhm.
this is a sign. Because I had been
Yes.
looking for a stick and
Yes.
poke artist for a long time, and I like
Mhm.
just Instagram messaged her, and I was like, "Hey, I'm here for the next couple days. Like,
Mhm.
can I come in?" And I came in, and like I was like, "I know I want finger tattoos. I don't necessarily
Mhm.
know exactly what I want. Like, here are the
Mhm.
things that I like. Can we come up with something that like makes sense?" And we did it together, and I got it like right on the spot. And I don't know, I'm very spontaneous like that. I don't
Mhm.
necessarily when it comes to tattoos, I don't regret anything. And most people are like, "Oh, what if I regret it?" And I'm kind of like, it'll change meanings throughout my life. Like, it's
Yeah.
fine. I don't really care.
Yes.
So yeah, I was just like, "Yep, I'm gonna do it." And then the next year I got like a touch up from her,
Oh, cool.
and I guess I got this one from her too. But
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
yeah.
That's awesome.
So I was gonna get some more when I was there, but we had rented an Airbnb with a hot tub, and I didn't want to have a
Oh.
tattoo.
Yeah, no. Hot tub
Yeah.
over tattoo for sure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. We had like rented it. It was like a bougie Airbnb. So we were like, I was like, I'm not going to spend the money to get a tattoo and then get in the
Yeah.
hot tub and then like
Yeah.
totally or not be able to get. And there was like a steam
Right.
room or something. Like
Ooh.
it was nuts. We felt
That sounds
very bougie.
amazing. Yeah. So, like, when you go on these trips, what does a day look like? You said that you just like go and do whatever. Tell me a little bit more about that.
I'm definitely more like a self reflector. So
Mm,
I'm good at pulling up different aspects of my life or like different experiences and
mhm.
breaking them down, which is a good and bad thing, right? When you're up at like 4 in the morning, like breaking down your like an interaction from 8 years ago or something.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm really good at like taking all of my experiences and figuring out how I can better myself from that experience and like how
Mhm.
can I frame it or like a current like hardship that I'm going through, like how can I frame it as a challenge? It's just something that I've practiced doing over, the last I'd like to say 30 years, but probably like what, since I was like 20 or something. when I first became self-aware, I like to go and take moments to literally just be absent, like let go of everything, kind of like a meditative state, right? So,
Yeah.
like if you take time to meditate and you're kind of just there in your brain and like you're letting your thoughts pass through and you're like not trying to focus on anything and just like, I don't know, sitting with all of the chatter in your head. That's the moments that I like live for, is the moments where I'm having like these spiritual awakenings of like driving in
Yeah.
the desert with like the sun perfectly like hitting the mountains with like the perfect song, and you're just like riding on life like this is the
Ugh.
best thing ever. I'm sorry, not to make people jealous. And that's like meditative for me. So I'm like always chasing that like moment of kind of being away, but then also using the nights, because I go in the winter. So like so the sun sets at like 5 p.m., 5:30 p.m., 6 p.m. sometimes.
Yeah.
So if I'm not outside with like a fire, I'm stuck inside the van, sometimes in the middle of the desert, literally in like
Yeah.
very remote spots. So I'm
Right.
literally, there's like wildlife and stuff. I'm trying to
Right.
stay alive. So I'll just be stuck in my van, especially the times that I went by myself and it was just like time to like self-reflect or
Yeah.
time to read books, listen to music. I really think music is kind of like my chill time. And we've talked about ASMR before and how I wanted to be an ASMR artist for the longest
Yes,
time.
I
And who
remember.
knows, maybe maybe I will. Maybe I will at some
Yes.
point. But music,
Mhm.
ASMR, sound therapy, just taking time to chill out and
Mhm.
all of that. That's what I do.
And like you, I listen to a lot of podcasts and I feel like sometimes it's just information overload. Sometimes I just have to stop. And so that I got to that point today where I just had to put on like one of my favorite playlists and it like immediately put me in a better mood because it's so different. And so like what do you do at home to try to like bring that feeling here, like that meditative state or that escape?
So when I'm at home, I guess kind of like for instance, 2-ish days ago, like when I'm at my office and I've been editing for like 3 hours or and my
Mhm.
eyes are like, I can't look at one more picture, even though, I love you clients. I do. It's just hard to stare at a screen for so long.
Yes.
All of that. It's hard, and
Yes.
so I'll
Yes.
just like get up and I'll check the soil moisture of all my plants. And
Okay.
that's like super meditative for me. I'm
Mhm.
like checking out their new growth. I'm like connecting
Mm.
with like all of the nature that I have growing in my like beautiful babies. I just
Yes.
like go and like check in on them and like, okay, do you
Mhm.
need water? Or I have like a yoga mat in my office and I like laid down for 10 minutes the other day where I just like literally closed my eyes for 5 minutes and then I stretched for like the rest of the time. Literally after 10 minutes, I was like ready to get back to work. Just like instead of sitting at my desk for like an hour trying to get back into
Mhm.
that headspace, literally taking 10 minutes to be super intentional, like to be
Mm.
intentional about the time and how you use
Mhm.
it. And like say, I'm going to take these 10 minutes to rest my brain. And then I'm going to go back, because you can just drive yourself crazy for like 30
Oh,
minutes to an
yeah.
hour trying to get back into that headspace. But I'll like go on a walk. My office is downtown, so I'll like walk down to the river and back if I really need to
Mm.
get energized. My boyfriend told me that I've been spending an average of 2 hours a day playing Catan on Nintendo Switch. So like after work, I'm like, okay, do I want to play Nintendo Switch, or like do I want to go on like a 5 mile walk, or
Yeah.
do I want to just like the little moments of taking intentional time each day and
Mhm.
having those like self-care moments with myself is
Mhm.
really what gets me back in the office the next day and gets me going. Like taking Friday evenings to just like detox my brain from the week and
Mhm.
chill out, watch American Horror Story, or I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever I'm binging at the moment, and just like
Mhm.
charging like my mental, physical, and like actual like camera batteries, like making sure everything's charged for the next day
Mhm.
is a good way for me to kind of, I don't know, that's just like my habits of making
Mhm.
sure that I am good to go the next day. A lot of people will ask me to go out on Fridays, and I do.
Mhm.
Sometimes I will. It really just depends, but I am very good at saying no.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I know that if I go out, it's going to affect me tomorrow. And
Mm-hmm.
I respect my clients enough to know that I want to give them my best. And that means me resting. And then same with me, resting after the wedding. I
Mm-hmm.
respect the people that I work with enough to know that I need to rest to give them my best to the next week. Don't get me wrong. I do get in my head about it sometimes. I get in my
Mm-hmm.
head, like, it does feel a little guilty. I still get those pings of guilt when I relax. That I have to fight through. And I still get those, like, do people think that I, like, am not working enough? Or, like, do
Right. Right.
people, like, if I'm posting more of my resting moments than I am of my working moments, like, do people think that I'm just,
Mm.
like, not working?
Right.
Which is 100% not true. I'm just, like, really focused when I am working.
And honestly, I don't think people notice. Like, I know I have always been extremely critical of my feed and what I post and how often. And people are like, be consistent. I don't care if people I follow show up every day. And that was something that came up with Alex on our Instagram live too, is just that like hustle culture and just like feeling like we had to have it all right now and not resting. And just like you, for me, I feel like it's been years of this like deconstructing that mindset and switching, and it's hard. And I'll be honest, like with being a new mom, I'm really struggling like making that time for self-care when I feel like I was finally really freaking good at it, and then like not now.
Mom, and then the pandemic, like,
Yes. Just a couple of the things that you mentioned, I'm like, I could start doing that. Like Harper's like getting on my nerve. Like I'll just lay down and like take some deep breaths. And then she like climbs all over me and she thinks it's the best thing. But it's like a good moment for me to just like close my eyes and like clear my mind and just like relax for a second, because I feel like we just run ourselves ragged. So just being more intentional every day, trying to like do a couple of those little things to just recharge a little bit throughout the week so that you're not a zombie.
and I
Yeah.
think we've had this conversation literally, I think for years, just being
Mm-hmm.
like talking about how unhappy it, like, social media had made us, and how like we felt like the need to be part of like the grind culture and like the hustle culture, and like feeling
Mm-hmm.
all of the things that we had to do and all of the hats that we wear as entrepreneurs. Like, it is difficult, and it's like you have all of these people in the industry that you kind of look up to, and they're
Mm-hmm.
telling you all of this really toxic like information about always be positive, always like
Mm-hmm.
get up at 4 a.m, do this, do that. You need to make sure you're always looking at the bright side. And there's just
Yes.
so much that they tell you to do. You start to question yourself when really, in reality, gosh, I loved the moment when you and Alex were talking in the podcast with your reading, when you both were talking about like you need to find what works for you
Mm-hmm.
and really go with that and not listen to
Yeah.
anybody else. I mean, shoot, what works for me is not necessarily going to work for everybody else. Like,
Mm-hmm.
them finding like what truly makes them happy and like what makes them feel fulfilled, or like what makes
Mm-hmm.
you feel fulfilled. That's where it's at, whether it's you, taking a break and laying
Mm-hmm.
on the ground, or going like, going on a walk around the block, or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, dancing around your kitchen, or just like little
Yes.
moments like
Yeah.
that just like
Yeah.
fill your cup back up. And
Mm-hmm.
God, I loved the post that it was one of your reels where you're like, if you're not feeling it today, stay in bed,
Yes.
work on the
Yes.
couch, like watch
Yes.
something. Like,
Mm-hmm.
especially being a creative entrepreneur, like you have
Mm-hmm.
this, we're in the content creation culture where you have to
Mm-hmm.
create to feel relevant, but that's just not sustainable. The best works of art were made after, like, I don't know, like heartbreak, or like they went through like
Like,
a long time to like fully
yeah.
make something. And
Yes.
those are
Yes.
the best things, and those take
Mm-hmm.
time, and we
Yeah.
can't be constantly like giving all of ourselves every day to
Mm-hmm.
everybody. And I'm just really hoping that after this last year, people are like, man, I really enjoyed doing less. To be fair, not everybody did. Some people had to work harder to
True.
make ends meet. I
Yeah,
had to
of
work harder
course.
in the beginning to like make sure that my company like stayed afloat. It was really difficult for me, and
Yeah.
the work-life balance that I had worked so hard to create
Mm-hmm.
essentially went away overnight as soon as COVID
Yeah.
happened, because I was like
Yeah.
fighting so hard to keep my business going.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know. I just hope that we don't go back to normal. We find a way to
Yes.
change, and we find a way like to know that that rest is it's part of the process, and it's so important to intentionally take that time so that you're not wasting more time later feeling burnt out.
Something that was hard for me to like come to terms with was not being a morning person, because so many people talk about getting up at 4 and 5 a.m. and like that did not work for me. So like you, I have kind of a slow morning where I just kind of snuggle with Harper and we sit and watch TV or play or whatever. And then like once she takes a nap, like then I can kind of get going for the day. And sometimes I get down on myself and I'm like, you could have gotten so much done if you just got up before her. But like I'm trying to let that go and to be like, that's not what feels good for me and that's not what works. So I think just like giving yourself permission to do that, then you can be like, oh, this rest is actually really nice. It's kind of addicting. Like this is all I want to do. Yeah.
No, that's exactly how I feel. I'm like, once I got over the anti-hustle life, I was like, ooh, I'm really about this. Oh, I'm really about like, taking time to like refill my cup. Now I'm just like, okay, so I'm going to schedule this as a relax day. I'm going to make sure I have this weekend off. All right, I'm already going to schedule out like my weeks off. I don't know. I'm the same. I'm all about it now.
Yeah. And with creating stuff, I've decided for me, like if I'm going to keep posting on Instagram, it has to be fun. Like it was also very hard for me to understand, or like took a long time for me to realize some of these people who were preaching the hustle culture, had either a lot of money already, or they grew so much that they could hire a full-time nanny or a chef, or like, I just feel like a lot of times I was like, man, why am I not grinding as hard as they are? Me being able to change my mindset has been huge, to just be like, do I even want that I was chasing? Like, do I want their life? Probably not.
Yeah.
What do I actually want that to look like? And I do want it to be restful and mindful and intentional and all of these things that I can't do while running around like a crazy person trying to get all of the jobs and do all the things and make all the money.
And it's like different seasons of life, right?
Yes.
So when I was younger, I had more energy. I knew that like I didn't have a significant other. I didn't have a family. I didn't have the only person that I had to focus on was myself and my bills. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to work every weekend because I want to make money to build my business and I need to make money to pay my bills. And I have the time to do that now. And I wanted to do that then, so that in this time of my life, I could relax. And I will say that it did give me a lot of burnout. And I don't necessarily that's not me suggesting people to do that. But that was a season in my life where I did what I needed to do to make ends meet. And now that I'm kind of past that, I'm getting older. And like my knees are starting to hurt and my back's starting to hurt.
I know.
It's like you turn 30 and like everything is like breaking. You're like, what is this?
Right.
Like I'm in a different season. I want to settle down. I want to have a family. I want to spend more time with my parents and my friends. And gosh, I mean, we all know, especially after 2020, it's just like the importance of your circle, like the importance of the people that mean most to you. And my priorities are changing, and I just want to give more time to those people who like give so much to me. And that means that it's like setting boundaries, and that means like being intentional with your time. And I'm still slowly getting there. I do, like I said, most of my 2020 kind of broke my work-life balance that I'd worked so hard to make while I was fighting for my business to stay afloat last year. And then like a lot of my weddings pushed to this year, which means that I had to take the same amount that I normally do, plus move the other, like the 2020 weddings to 2021 to make sure that I was, still breaking even and, not losing a bunch of money 2 years in a row. So I will say I am photographing a lot of weddings this year, probably more than I'd like to, because I do have such a high priority for rest. But there are, again, seasons. Like this is just what I have to do this year. And then I can go back to next year. And I know that I can do it because I've done it before.
Yes.
And I know like I'm just taking extra steps, like taking our pottery class on Wednesday, making sure that my mental health is in check. Gosh, talking to a doctor about that and getting on medication has been so helpful. I was so stressed about everything before, and I feel like I have more work, like a higher workload right now, and I'm just, I feel fine. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I was neurodiverse this whole time, and I just needed something to like level me out. I'm looking forward to the next season in my life where I am prioritizing rest even more than like achievement. It's kind of like, how do you measure success, right?
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like how we were talking about before us recording, we were talking
Mm-hmm.
about my stellium in Capricorn, and
Mm-hmm.
it's all about achievement. And it's like,
Yes.
I want to do big things, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm really about working hard and making my dreams come true. And that's kind of where I see my success. But as I get older, I'm working on seeing success in a different light, and that's success in relationships and success with
Mm-hmm.
family and just being, happy with your overall life and being
Yeah.
healthy and having more moments of joy and less moments
Mm-hmm.
of like
Stress,
exhaustion.
overwhelm, right.
I still have big goals. I still have big dreams.
Yes.
I dream big, and I
Yeah.
have high goals for my future. I just know
Mm-hmm.
that it's okay if it takes me 20 years to get there.
Yes, that's the difference between like who we are now and who we were like 5, 6 years ago is we want to have achievement in all of those different areas of our life to be a good, well-rounded, healthy person versus the highest achievements in just our career. And it's like once you start taking care of those other areas, the career part will still come.
I got 20, 25 years before I need
Yes.
to make it where I really want to make it. And like in that
Yes.
time, I have so much life to live and I have
Yes.
so many experiences to have. And it's
Mhm.
not just about grinding every day to make it happen.
Mhm.
I don't need for it to happen at 35. I don't need for it to happen at 40 even.
Mhm.
I want like when I die, oh my God, why am I crying?
Oh my
I want to
god.
like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to, don't cry too. Like, I want like when I'm on my deathbed to be proud of like the moments that I've had with like
Yes.
my friends and my family and not be
Mhm.
like, I slaved my whole life away
Yes. Yeah.
to like get to this like weird level of achievement in my head that like nobody has ever judged me on but
Right.
myself.
Yeah. And I think that's the perfectionist and the overachiever and all of that, where like we just zero in on that sometimes. Yes, it'd be nice to be successful. Yes, it'd be nice to be wealthy. Like I have those goals and like I hope that that happens. But at the end of the day, I want to know that I chose to like snuggle in bed with my baby a little bit longer when I had the chance, versus getting up and getting to work and then like putting her in a high chair so I could keep doing work or something like that. And of course, it's a balance. Sometimes the days look different, but that's the shit you're going to remember is those intentional moments with the people that mean the most to you. And that is what's important. So I'm so glad that you said that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So like, sorry, you
I
like
know,
talking
like
about you. I'm like, oh my God, that like hits me in all the feels.
being a mom is like the hardest thing I've ever done. And I've talked about a lot of the hard stuff on social media and stuff, but like it was such a wake up call to just be like, nothing else matters. Like, and I wish it didn't take that for me to realize that, if that makes sense, because like I was just as worthy of having rest and growing slow and doing all the things that I wanted before I was a mom. To anybody who is not a mom, like you still deserve all those things and to snuggle in bed with your fur babies or like whatever the hell that you want to do. But like, I'm just so thankful and glad that I had that wake up call because I feel like everything in my life has changed since then. And then, like, being more intentional with my friends, trying to make time to have conversations and get coffee and lunch or whatever that looks like, because those were things that I just took for granted. And I feel like I just want to tell everybody else, like, slow down. It's okay. Like, we can do these things slowly and like more intentionally, more mindfully, like all of those things, because I just feel like we do all deserve that.
When you start your business, you're excited about all of the places that you can go. You're excited
Mm-hmm.
about every single step that, you're going to reach. But when you're
Mm-hmm.
grinding every day and you get so burnt out to the point, like kind of like you were saying, like if you get so burnt out to the point that you want to quit it, was that like
Right.
all the extra time and effort worth it in the end? Was it?
Right.
Like when it
Right.
could have been easily spread over 10 to 15
Mm-hmm.
years and you would have still gotten there, but you would
Mm-hmm.
have enjoyed the process a little bit more.
Yes.
That's kind of where I'm at, like going into like a decade of doing this. And you know
Mm-hmm.
what? I've loved following you throughout the years and just seeing you like knowing that it is okay to stop when you like need to. knowing that it's okay to pivot, knowing that it's okay to do something else and try something else. Like, I think that is so empowering to share with other women, and knowing that, like, if you do quit your business, like, it is going to be okay.
Right.
You are not defined
Yes.
by that. And most people like change professions like multiple times throughout their life,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So
Yes. Which I've told you, that's my like curse of being a 7 is the like shiny object syndrome and like abandoning ship as soon as it doesn't seem like it's going well. But like, again, I know that about myself. It's fine. I'm acknowledging it. But like, I really have struggled in the past, which I think we've talked about, I'm sure, with like closing my photography business. Like, that was really, really, really hard for me to do. And I think it was an ego thing, but also like an identity thing, because I was like, this has been such a big part of my life for so long, and I don't know what's next. And that's what was so terrifying for me. But I'm glad that I took kind of like 2 or 3 year break before I started the podcast. And I was in that time like really trying to navigate and figure out what the hell I wanted to do, but which this isn't really related, but I'm thinking, you know, when you're 18 and trying to go to college, like it's hard enough to try to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life. And then there I was at like 26 or however old I was at the time, where I was like, feel like I've lived a lifetime as a business owner and like photographer,
right.
and like what's next. But yeah, I felt like such a failure.
I thought you were such a badass. I know like you
What?
didn't feel that way, but I was
Yeah.
just like, hell yeah, you do what like feels right for you. I
Yeah.
just thought that was so empowering. So like you were over there
Oh, well,
feeling
thank
that about
you.
it when we were over here like, okay, girl, like get it. You do what you want. Like, yeah, you take a break. Yeah,
Oh
you
my
pivot.
gosh.
Like, that's how
Well,
I
thank
felt about it.
you.
I was like, it just like made me realize like if I decide to change professions, well, I'll be fine. It's not the end of the
Yes.
world. I heard this amazing quote from Brene Brown that she said, nothing is wasted. And I just thought that was so powerful. Like every moment, and like even if you
Yes.
were hustling before, it's a learning moment where you're like, okay, this was hard. This was a rough part of my life, but it can change. And every experience you have, it can be a learning moment for you. And not to say that in a
Yes.
way that's like toxic positivity, but just knowing that like the harder moments do make you stronger. They do make you think a little bit more about how you can make your life better in the future.
Yes. Chelsea, thank you so much for like being here today, talking to me, being my little business BFF like over the years. You are so encouraging and validating, and you are a badass. Like, I love the way that you live your life and run your business and like prioritize the things that are important. And I know it's been a journey. So let people know how they can connect with you.
So you can connect with me on Instagram or on my website. My Instagram handle is at Chelsea Hall Photo. My website is www.chelsea-hall.com. To be honest, I post, like I said earlier, I post very seldomly. So, or you'll see me on stories more than you'll see me anywhere else.
Yes.
So, feel free to like DM me. I don't know, we can have a chat. Sometimes I might get back to you a couple days later because, you know, boundaries. But
Boundaries.
yeah, I'd love to talk with you guys and I don't know, figure out what works best in your life. What I'd like to be your hype girl too.
For sure. Hype girl for hire. I love it. Thank you so much for being here, Chelsea.
Thanks for having me.
I don't know about you, but I am ready to take a week or a month or a year off of work after this conversation. Chelsea made so many great points about why we need to rest and why it's so important. Take your days off. Take that PTO, take your sick days. We need them. We need to refuel. We need to recharge. And all the other areas in our life lack when we're not taking care of ourselves. So this is your reminder to take care of yourself, take that vacation, make time to rest. You deserve it. You are worthy of it, and don't deprive yourself of that. I have always admired and loved how Chelsea is able to incorporate rest into her life and her business and just setting fierce boundaries that she's not willing to break. So I know I'm definitely going to be taking a look at my boundaries and seeing what I can tweak, what I can be a little more strict with, and seeing what else I can do throughout the day to make sure I'm giving myself that time to recharge. So I would love to continue this conversation on Instagram. Please reach out to Chelsea and I. We would love to talk more about about rest because I feel like this is not something people talk about. We love to talk about being busy and hustling and grinding and getting all the things done. I want to talk to the person who's taking a nap in the middle of the day and give them a high five because I wish I could be doing that, honestly. And I'm hoping to make more time for restful moments like that in my life. Okay, and today's icebreaker question is, how many books have you read this year? And honestly, I'm just doing this to toot my own horn because I've been terrible about reading basically since I graduated high school. I have not read a novel from start to finish in like a decade at least, if not longer. And since the beginning of the year, and actually it's really just been since March, I've read 10 books. Okay. I know some people, that's not a big deal. For me, that is a very, very big deal. I am stoked. I am like addicted to reading right now. I am loving it. So if you want to see what I'm reading, definitely follow me on Instagram at morgananderson.co. I talk about it on there every once in a while, and you can always DM me about it because I want, all the recommendations, all the things. So feel free to reach out to me. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Connect with Chelsea and find us both on Instagram. I'll see you in my next video. Thank you so much for listening today, and I'll talk to you in my next episode.